welcome to Cappuccino with HR. My name is Rudi Bauer, and I am, after nearly 40 years in business, 100% sure that the power and success of companies is heavily related to the passion of the people working for them. With Cappuccino with HR, we created a format that we're developers, which is really designed for HR professionals, recruiters, and leaders to meet over a cup of coffee and have often discussions on everything from HR trends and leadership to sourcing of talent acquisition and to the life cycle within companies. No really set agenda, just nice conversations with people that we invite as our guests. Yeah, hello and welcome to a new episode of Cappuccino with HR. And today I'm really delighted to have I really call him good old friend in the meantime, because we know since many, many years now. It's a really pleasure to have Robindro with me. So Robindro Ullah, he's the managing director of Trendence. And we know each other since quite some years now. I think we met the first time when I was working at Stepstone. And I'm really delighted to have you as guest today. So welcome, Robindro.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. And I think at least next year or the year after that, we will hit the 10 years anniversary.
Yeah,
probably.
So yeah, probably. And I think the first time we met was at one of your events, these wonderful, really cool tech nights that were spread out all over Germany together with Michael, you and Michael, both organizing it. And I really love this event because for me, this was one of the really first HR events that I saw all over Europe that were informal, cool, from the style that not this classical HR events. It was more this kind of crazy style where people met in a modern way. And I really love this kind of format very, very much. So that I think was the beginning.
Yeah, that was the beginning. Yeah, I think that was one of the HR Tech Nights where we met first time. And our mission was to bring HR tech to the HR people. Yeah. So that was also, I think, when you did your first speech at our HR Tech Night, that was when I realized that bringing tech to people also means to have an emotional transformation. Because I think you connected the topic to culture.
Yeah. I think for me, and that is what I always use as my closing sentence, more or less, if I'm on stage, is probably we should get rid of the R in HR. So because as long as we treat people or humans as resources, I think we will never come through, because at the end of the day, tech is always a tool. I think it's a toolbox. It can support us in many, many ways. And I'm really looking forward to talk about this topic with you today as well. But at the end of the day, I think it's lifetime and it's humans. And I think it's very important to treat humans as humans and not as resources. So probably that could be a kind of an idea. But what we are going to discuss today, as the year is over, and for me, 2024 was one of the craziest years in my career. So if I look on all nearly 40 years of career now, and I'm in business next year, I think in business for 40 years, 2024 was in a way the craziest year that I had. Yeah. I don't know why exactly. I probably can find down between Christmas and New Year, but it was a crazy year because it started quite normal. Then it went totally into a stop position. All the companies became nervous. I mean, it was really like, oh God, oh my God, there's a crisis again. Yeah, and it's really strange. So, what do you think? What was your impression on 24? To start with the first question.
Yeah. Okay. From my point of view, of course, it was a roller coaster. But I think from my point of view, for me, or at least for Trendence, 2020 was already like absolute benchmark for fucked up years. But this year was hard too. Nevertheless, I was a little bit surprised because in the end of every year we have an event called Trendence Awards, and nevertheless, a lot of companies conducted very innovative projects during the year, and applied for a Trendence Award. So there was like, actually, I thought we might not get any projects in the end of this year, but it was more than the year before.
Okay. And could you name a kind of a topic? Because I mean, every year, since I'm in HR, every year has kind of got a kind of a headline. And this year at a lot of conferences, of course, it was AI. But what was the different kind of headlines on the applications to the Trendance Awards? Or what
Um,
was?
yeah, for example, if you look at target groups, it was like the very obvious. We had a lot of apprenticeship, like how do you say, pupil marketing
Mm,
applications. Like
mm,
the companies did a lot of HR marketing in the field of pupils because
mm,
that is mandatory, or you can't get rid as easily of your staff as of your apprentices, or the places for your apprentices or apprenticeship. So I think this year a lot of companies focused on pupil marketing
mm,
to attract those for the companies. So we had really a huge amount of applications for that category. And I think that's also, it's like due to the crisis we have faced this year, that they focused on things they have to do, and they did that really well. And another topic was, which came up, is a lot of companies focus on audio. Like, yeah, we're doing, actually, this format Cappuccino with the HR combines two of the trends we saw. It's audio and video. And a lot of companies not only implemented, like, for example, audio application, but also did audio advertisement, and launched a podcast, or did something around audio. That was also remarkable this year.
mhm. Did Were there any surprises or unexpected shifts from your side in HR? So, I mean, because I mean, normally it's quite clear and foreseeable what happens next, yeah. But did you see some surprises or some surprising changes?
What we see is, like, we have a lot of data about HR, but the data we have about HR is from the perspective of the candidates. So
Mm,
what we have this year was what was for us a surprising effect, or a surprising outcome of our data, was this year was the year of emotional disconnection from the companies. And what we saw
okay.
more data is that more and more people are saying, yeah, we are very happy to work at your company. And at the same time, like, the next question is, would you be open for another job opportunity? They say, yes, yes, I'm open. So
Mhm.
a lot of people, like 80%, they say, yeah, we are happy. We are very happy with our jobs. And at the same time, 80% of the people say, yeah, but we are open to get a new opportunity at another company. And
I mean, we see the same, nearly the same figures at developers as well. So software developers, I think there's 1 out of 10 or 6%, correct, honestly, uh, actively, proactively looking for a job, and 70 or 75% are more or less open for changing job positions. But what do you think could be kind of the reason for that? I mean, because it's a quite a high percentage. If you say 80%, I mean, this is 8 out of 10. Yeah. So
yeah,
if you go
um,
into your own organization and do a quick count, I mean, you can take 10 people in a room, and two are safe and 8 are probably in danger to leave you. Yeah.
yeah, we tried to look into those numbers because we saw similar numbers last year, and this year
Mm,
we added questions, or we added questions towards the purpose of the company. And we saw that a very high number of people they can identify themselves with the purpose of the company. Like,
mm,
the last few years, we realized that more and more companies uh, go down the purpose-driven part or road, which, also in terms of talent attraction, that they focus on a purpose-driven culture and put their purpose in front if it comes to employer branding. And a lot of those we surveyed, like I think it was 84, 86%, they said, yeah, of course I can identify with the purpose of my company. And then the second question we asked was the important or the interesting one. The second question was, does it has to do something with your work? And they said no. Sorry. Yeah, of course the purpose is nice, but I can't break it down to what I'm doing. I'm not sure whether what I'm doing at the company has something to do with the purpose. So I don't know whether I have an impact. And that was the point where we realized that it doesn't help to have a purpose nowadays if you can't break it down to what the people are doing, because what they actually said was the purpose is great, but I can still say it's a great purpose even from working while working from another company, because if I work for you, I have no impact on the purpose, and that's will stay the same even if I work for another company. So I can still be on your site and say your purpose is great while I'm working for another company. So there the emotional connection gets lost.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is a leadership topic, because breaking down, I mean, you have a kind of an organization, you have different kind of levels of leadership in an organization, and of course you have to break it down then. So the leader, one of the tasks for the leaders is probably to really break the company mission and the purpose of the
Absolutely.
company really down to the individual people working in this organization or in its or her team, to really show the impact. And that is also what we saw in our last developer survey. So we saw that the people are, one of the reasons why they're changing job is because, okay, I have no impact on the good things happening. So, and to make this transparent, because at the end of the day, it's not a question, is it right or is it wrong from my point of view? I think it's more the question, how do I translate it for the people? Because I had this discussion with one of my sons when he did this civil service in Austria, which you have to do, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was working in a school for handicapped kids, and he was washing the dishes there. Yeah, at the end of the day, washing the dishes is not probably of first look. I mean, it probably looks a little bit stupid and monotone, but that if I then translate it, and I try to translate for him at this time, I really translated it as, okay, you're supporting these kind of handicapped kids, that they have the chance to get a fresh plate every single day.
Yeah.
And then I think it's definitely much closer to purpose than just seeing it as washing the dishes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. But
yeah.
I can yeah, I can only agree with it's a leadership topic. But what we asked, or what we asked us, is whether there was a need for this how you say this translation of the purpose to the job. Was there a need before? Because I had a very interesting discussion with Professor Dr. Anja Lüthi. She is well known HR person in Germany, and she came up with a very interesting term. I'm not sure how to translate into English. It's in German you would say it's Ichlinge.
Mhm.
Ichlinge means a person who's not an egoist, who's
Yeah.
not self-focused, but wants to know what what do I have to do with it?
Yeah.
What's not really what's in for me, more what like what's my part? What's my part? I want to know what's my part in this story. And more people want to know what's their part in their story. And the interesting fact, we couldn't really make we couldn't pin it down on a generation. This
Yes.
question is asked no matter which generation you're in.
For me, I think it's totally understandable, because I mean we are coming more and more into digital world. So I mean a lot of things that we do, and I mean honestly, I ask myself quite from time to time, if I had a really office day where you sit in front of your monitor and your computer, and then you just watch the lower right corner if something pops up. There is a new email coming in, so you could react. At the end of the day, you ask yourself, okay, what useful have I done the whole day today? And I mean, I think that has dramatically changed, because I mean, if you have been a farmer, or if you are a farmer and you move out to your field at the end of the day, you can turn back on your tracker and can have a look and say, okay, oh, I did a great job today. If you're building chairs, I mean, you see a chair at the end of the day. You're building a table, you're building a table. I mean, you see a table at the end of the day, or half a table, and I think you see what you have achieved. And as more as we are moving into digital worlds, and we see that extremely clear at developers as well. I mean, they put some code snippets together, and they've then applied to a kind of an API, and that disappear in the cloud. And I think this appreciation for the work, this kind of giving them the feeling that they have done something useful that needs to be done from someone. Yeah. And it could either be the leader, or it's the whole management team, or it's the kind of company culture which is driving that. And I met a young cool guy. He's working at Miele, this white good company for dishwashers and washing machines and whatever. And I was talking to him because he's working as a software developer there, and I was asking how he's treating it. And he told me, yeah, once a quarter he's going to the showroom in Vienna with the whole family. So he takes grandma and his ma and his dad and his wife and his kids, and they go to the Miele showroom, and they walk through on Saturday morning, and he shows them all the products where he has put some software pieces and parts in. And that for him gives his personal appreciation. He said, okay, I can see and touch, and I can show what I've done. Yeah. And I mean, that's really, I think that's becoming more and more important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand Ichlinge quite good. I think this.
Do you have an English expression for that?
No, I think Ichlinge is nice. I mean, we should. I think we should establish that as a term internationally. Ichlinge is a very cool one. Let's take it. Let's go for Ichlinge.
I don't know whether Eiling works. Eiling. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone is welcome to suggest a term for that in English.
Yeah. So if you have nice suggestions, just drop it, and we will check the copyrights then with Anya. Okay. As we are all living in a kind of a technological world, and I mean, as I mentioned, all the conferences that I attended, all the events that I attended, AI was playing a massive role. What is your take on that? If you look at 2024, what did AI do for HR in 2024 from your point of view?
I think there are different perspectives on that. Like in every industry, slowly AI takes over roles in standard software. So the big players are integrating AI, and you as a HR manager, you more or less you don't have any choice. Sooner or later, you will use AI by using your standard tools, because AI will be integrated. If you look at other terms, like more on an individual term, I think HR is still lacking a lot of AI competence, because the industry could be much more automated, or could much more benefit from what is happening than they actually do. And we also saw that from candidate side. Like, we asked the candidates, where should HR use AI in terms of the application process? And you can clearly see that candidates enhance AI when it comes to the first few steps within the application, like getting to know the company, to have a first match of job job ad and profile, and even the first few steps within the interviews. Candidates highly appreciate if AI is used, and only in the second part, where it really comes to, yes, it is a match. Do you want to work there? If it comes to that phase, candidates say, okay, in that phase, we want to get in contact with a human of that company. Um, if you now look in the HR world, I don't think that AI is implemented in the first part, also not in the second part. But HR people only rarely use AI for those parts of the process. So I think we could have benefit more of that. And at the same time, um, and this is something we haven't done for HR yet, but at the same time, we try to evaluate something we don't want to call it yet AI competence because we don't have the right items yet in place to evaluate something which is called AI competence. We did that the years before for digital competence because there's a catalog from the EU how you measure digital competence. There's not a catalog yet in place for AI competence, so we try to come to something which is very close to that. So we asked a lot of people, like every 2 months, how confident are you with working with the AI? And only very few people in Germany, at least. These are data from Germany. Very few people in Germany, at least, if you look at those at the professional side, only 3 to 5% say we're not confident at all because we haven't used it at all. Haven't tested it, we haven't used it, we haven't seen it. Not seen, of course, I think seen, everyone has seen some kind of AI examples, but only 3 to 5% of the professionals in Germany say they haven't had any contact. And now, if we go into companies where we measure that on employee level, we sometimes face companies where up to 30% say, no, we haven't used it yet. And there you see like those values get higher if you filter down the data to HR and specific other professions.
Mhm.
On average, it's 3 to 5%. But if you go deeper, dig deeper in the data, and you look on Asia, the percentage gets a little bit higher. And if
Mhm.
you look at specific companies, these percentage even got more, even higher.
Mhm. Uh, do you think that, I mean, you're coming, all your surveys and studies are more driven from the candidate side, which I really love. So, do you think there's a big difference for candidates if companies use AI for their communication or for the candidate experience as a total? Or do you think it makes a big difference if candidates get an answer from chatbot instead of a human?
I think there you have two answers to this question because if you ask HR, they will say yes, of course, it makes huge difference. If you ask the candidate, they say no, because
Yeah.
one of our items is company presentation. Should the company presentation should it be done by AI or a company representative? And clearly, the answer is AI because
Mm,
it is more convenient.
mm,
I can have the presentation whenever I want. I can ask questions whenever I want. There are a
mm,
lot of things which make it very convenient to have it done by AI. That doesn't
mm,
mean they want to cancel out the human in the application process. As I said, the second phase, when I'm sure I want to work for that company, as soon as I am sure I want to talk to a human. But
yeah.
in the first few steps where I'm not sure, I don't need any humans to.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, that is also what we get as a kind of a feedback, and what the surveys and all the information that I got on my desk is saying the same. I mean, if people are expecting, or candidates are expecting a kind of answers to their questions, I mean, I think they are either they're more interested in getting clarity in this foggy environment and like quick insights instead of waiting too long for a human answer. Then, yeah, so it just needs to be answered. Uh,
Perhaps a small addition to that.
yeah.
We named it last year. We named it. It's the time of the time millionaires, because
Mm.
you clearly see that candidates value time. They
Mhm.
value time, and the first part. Uh, how many times do you want to get introduced to a company? This is a
Mhm.
process which has to be very fast. The
Mhm.
first few steps where you get the first introduction to a company which might has a suitable position, but perhaps not. So you don't want to invest so much time. Time is very
Mhm.
valuable. So we clearly face a generation, not a generation, mankind gets more sensitive if it comes to time consumption.
Mhm. Yeah. As the candidate expectations evolve, and I mean, I think we all know that the market has changed or is rapidly changing from a labor market to probably an employee market. What should organizations prioritize to stay competitive in the future? I mean, I think the candidates are more and more coming into the driver's seats. There's big potential because, as you mentioned at the beginning, 80% are willing to change their jobs. So the potential is massive, yeah, because I mean, 8 out of 10, if you address them right, you probably have a chance to get and pick them for your organization. There's two things. What's becoming important? What should companies focus on is one question or one part of my question. The second one is, what does it mean in getting access to these people? Because they probably are not on job boards, because if they're not proactively looking for jobs, they're probably, you have to fetch them and get in contact with them in a total different way. What is your suggestion there? What?
Perhaps starting with a statement, yeah. At the moment, it seems not to be like it's getting a candidate market due to the situation, the global situation. But I'm very, very sure the time will change again, and this is something where our customers, but also companies I talk to, they are currently relaxing in a very strange way because I can tell them don't relax too much. It will change definitely. So if it's going to change again, and actually they are relaxing, although it's not at all relaxing time in every uh, uh, job group. So if they are asking for advice, first thing is you still have to be quick. Like you have to have quick processes. You have to have a very transparent career website where people can find what they are looking for, and still companies tend to bring their internal complexity to the outside world without realizing that even if you're internal, your complexity might be too much. So it's often also the same for candidates which haven't had contact to you at all. So first thing is definitely the quicker you are, the better if it comes to recruitment processes, and you should embrace the technical things the world around you gives you at the moment, like AI, audio. You have to embrace those topics to even to compete with companies who do, because they're getting faster in the recruitment process. And what also, this is the finding from this year I mentioned earlier, you have to be individual. Like you have to look on the purpose. How can we break that down to individual jobs? Same thing is true for your approach towards candidates. It doesn't, like the years before we were talking about one size fits all. That's definitely not the way. We switch to one size fits one target group, but that's also not the way anymore. You have to switch to one size fits one person. And that's the way you have to go. I know it's a very hard way, but companies will soon realize they have to invest that time or that money to get to that point that you have to need to meet individual expectations.
Mm. So that was probably a really good final sentence for this session, because if I look on the watch, we have already talked 30 minutes. So we're coming to the end, and it's probably closing the circle when you mentioned in the very beginning that I was at your event and I brought this cultural thing into it. So I think at the end of the day, yeah, HR means dealing with humans, yeah. And I mean, we're all spending lifetime in our jobs, and therefore I think it's definitely worth that companies think about bringing it down to an individual level and treating people not as group and treating people not as resources, treating them as humans with individual needs. And I think that's probably a really cool closing sentence. Robindro, we could talk for another 2 hours. I think there's plenty of topics and experience on your side, and thoughts and ideas. It was really a pleasure having you with me. Thank you very much for your time. Really looking forward to probably have another session with you, and I'm also looking forward to see you. Hopefully it works at our World Congress and HR Leaders Summit in July next year in Berlin. You have been there in 2024, so I'm really officially inviting you for 2025. I hope the holiday plans work with our plans, so that would be great. For you out the audience, as this I think is the last episode or our last episode before Christmas, I really wish you a wonderful Christmas. I really wish you nice holidays and vacation, and all the best for 2025. And I'm really looking forward what comes up. And yeah, please stay tuned, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.